My husband said, my ex needs help again. Then he asked for $3,800. I asked, from us or from me? His face changed. That was when I realized he had already promised my money. So I opened the bank statements. It started while I was making dinner. I remember the garlic burning before I remember the argument. I was standing at the stove, trying to save a pan that was already ruined, when Daniel came into the kitchen acting too helpful. He took the spatula from my hand and said, "Go sit down. I'll finish this." I looked at him. What happened? He gave me a tired little smile, like I was being dramatic. Nothing happened. Daniel. He looked away, rubbed the back of his neck, and said, "Melissa's in a bad spot again." I laughed before I could stop myself. It was not a happy laugh. It was the sound that comes out when you have been patient for so long your body refuses to pretend anymore. Melissa was Daniel's ex. They had a 15-year-old daughter together, Ashley. I cared about Ashley. She was quiet, smart, and more aware than most adults gave her credit for. I kept her favorite snacks in the pantry. I made sure she had clean towels when she stayed over. I remembered school dates when Daniel forgot. I never tried to be her mother. I just tried to be safe. My problem was never Ashley. My problem was the way Melissa used Ashley's name like a password. If Melissa's rent was short, Daniel helped. If her car needed work, Daniel helped. If her phone got cut off, Daniel helped. There was always a bill, a deadline, or some emergency that made saying no feel cruel. And every time I questioned it, Daniel gave me the same answer. It's for Ashley. At first, I accepted that. I did not want to be the wife who made life harder for a child who already had 2 homes and too many adult problems around her. Daniel had responsibilities before me, and I respected that. Child support, clothes, school expenses, medical needs, birthdays, all of that made sense. What stopped making sense was how often helping Ashley looked exactly like rescuing Melissa. That night, Daniel leaned against the counter and said, "Her car needs repairs. She's behind on a utility bill. And Ashley has a school trip coming up." He spoke fast, like speed could make the amount sound smaller. I asked how much. He hesitated. "Daniel, how much?" "Around $3,800. I stared at him. $3,800? He nodded, but he still would not look at me. I wiped my hands on a towel. "Where's that supposed to come from?" He sighed. "We can figure it out." That was when my stomach dropped. Daniel did not have $3,800 sitting around. His savings had been shrinking for months. I knew because I had quietly been covering more of our life without making it a fight. If groceries went over, I paid the difference. If something broke, I handled it. If Ashley needed something extra, I usually helped because I cared about her and did not want money to turn into punishment. Daniel always thanked me. He would say, "I'm lucky you're not petty about money." I used to think that meant he appreciated me. Now I think it meant he was relieved I was not counting. I asked, "Did you already tell her yes?" His silence answered before he did. I felt something inside me go cold. "You promised her my money," I said. He frowned. "I promised her we would help." "No. You promised her money you don't have." His face tightened. "This is about Ashley." "Is it? Don't do that." "Then tell me how much the school trip costs." He looked irritated. "I don't know the exact number." "You don't know the exact number for the part that's supposedly about your daughter, but you know the total is $3,800? He pushed away from the counter. "Melissa is overwhelmed. She doesn't have anyone else. She has options that are not my bank account. That's not fair." Fair. I almost laughed again, because fair had become a very strange word in our house. I asked him how much he had already given Melissa that year. He said he did not know. So I asked him to check. That turned into the first real fight. Daniel said I was treating him like a child. I told him he made a promise like an adult using money he did not have. He accused me of making everything about money. I told him money was not just money when one person kept giving it away and the other person had to quietly cover the damage. Then he said, "You sound jealous." That hurt more than I wanted to admit. Not because it was true. It hurt because it was lazy. It was the easiest thing to call me, and he knew it would make me defend myself instead of questioning him. "I'm not jealous of Melissa," I said. "I'm tired of paying for her life and being told it's love." His expression changed like I had slapped him. Dinner never got eaten. The pan stayed in the sink until the next morning. Daniel barely spoke to me for 2 days after that. He answered questions with a word or two, slept turned away from me, and moved around the house like I had become someone he needed to survive. I tried to stay angry, but guilt kept creeping in. I pictured Ashley stuck in a cold apartment because I refused to help. I pictured Melissa crying in a broken-down car. I pictured Daniel feeling like he had failed his daughter. Then I pictured him telling Melissa yes before he even asked me, and the guilt turned back into anger. On the third night, Daniel walked into the living room and handed me his phone. "Fine," he said. "You want to see?" Look. His banking app was open. At first, the transfers did not look huge. 100 here, 200 there. A few larger ones mixed in. He had labeled some with Ashley's name. Ashley School. Ashley Shoes. Ashley Phone. Ashley Supplies. Then I looked at the dates. There was $600 for school supplies in February. Ashley's supplies had been bought months earlier, and I knew that because I helped pay for them. There was $1,200 marked car emergency. Daniel said Melissa had blown 2 tires. I asked what kind of tires cost $1,200. He mumbled something about towing and labor, then stopped because even he could hear how weak it sounded. There was $450 for Ashley's phone, except Ashley was on Daniel's phone plan. He paid that bill directly. Melissa had no reason to receive money for it. I kept scrolling. That was the worst part. It was not one giant betrayal. It was slow and quiet. Small amounts, soft excuses, and Ashley's name wrapped around every transfer so tightly I would look cruel if I questioned it. I asked how much of this was actually for Ashley. Daniel sat down across from me. His shoulders dropped. "I don't know." That answer broke something in me. He had made me feel guilty for asking questions he did not even know the answers to. After that, the truth came out in pieces. Melissa was behind on a personal loan. She owed a cousin money. She had used a payday loan place and the fees were piling up. Her rent was not just late once. It had been late more than once. She did not want to move in with her mother, Donna, because they fought too much, so Daniel kept helping her avoid it. Some of that helped Ashley indirectly. I understood that. A stable place to live mattered. A working car mattered. But there was a difference between protecting a child and letting an adult build her life around your guilt. Daniel had not just helped Melissa. He had pulled me into it without my consent. I told him no. Not maybe. Not after I thought about it. No. I was not giving Melissa $3,800. Daniel stared at me like I had turned into someone else. "So you're okay with Ashley suffering?" I looked at him for a long second. "No," I said. "I'm okay with Melissa finally hearing no from someone." He walked out. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying his words. The way he used Ashley against me. The way it sounded natural coming out of his mouth, like the second he said her name, I was supposed to stop being a person with limits. The next morning, Melissa texted me. The message was long and carefully written. She said she hated asking. She said she was humiliated. She said Ashley should not suffer because the adults around her could not work together. She said Daniel was just trying to be a good father, and I was making him choose between his marriage and his child. I read it 3 times. It did not feel like a request. It felt like a script designed to make me ashamed. I wrote back, "I'm sorry you're struggling, but I'm not comfortable lending you money directly. If Ashley needs something for school, send me the payment link and I'll pay the school." Melissa answered almost immediately. "I hope you never have a child who needs help and meets a woman like you." I sat on the edge of the bed and cried. I hated that she got that reaction from me. But it was not only her message. It was knowing Daniel had probably described me in a way that made her brave enough to send it. Cold. Jealous. Controlling. The woman standing between a father and his daughter. I realized then that I had become the villain in a story everyone else was writing with my money. So I stopped arguing with feelings and started looking at numbers. I opened my own bank records. I looked at everything I had covered over the last year because Daniel was always a little short. Groceries that should have been split. Repairs I paid alone. Insurance increases. Ashley's birthday gift. Half of her school clothes. A hotel for Daniel's family event. A utility bill he said he would cover, then forgot about until the last minute. I did not count normal bills. I did not count gifts I freely gave. I only counted the extras I absorbed while Daniel's money quietly went somewhere else. The total came to a little over $9,000. I stared at that number for a long time. Then I made a spreadsheet. Maybe that sounds cold. Maybe it was. But seeing it in rows made me feel less crazy. Dates. Amounts. Categories. Notes. No crying. No begging. Just proof that I had already been funding another household without being asked. I printed it and left it on the kitchen table. At the top, I wrote, "This is what I already lent your other household." Daniel found it after work. I heard the paper move before I saw his face. When I walked into the kitchen, he was standing over the spreadsheet with his jaw tight. "What is this?" he asked. "You can read." "This is disgusting." That word landed hard. Disgusting. "You made a spreadsheet about my daughter." "No," I said. "I made a spreadsheet about you." His face flushed. "Marriage isn't about keeping score. You started the score when you decided your promises to Melissa mattered more than the bills I kept covering. That's not what happened." "Then tell me which line is wrong." He looked down. That was when I knew the spreadsheet had done what my tears could not. He could argue with my tone. He could argue with my feelings. He could call me jealous or unfair. But the numbers did not care about his guilt. He said, "I was trying to protect Ashley." "Then protect Ashley," I said. "Pay her school directly. Buy what she needs directly. If she needs a safe place, she can stay here." I have never stopped that. He looked at me, angry and confused. I kept going. "If the school trip needs payment, send me the link. I'll pay it today. If she needs groceries, we'll order them. If the car has to be fixed for Ashley to get to school, give me the mechanic's invoice and I'll call the shop myself. If Melissa is about to lose the apartment, Ashley can stay here while her mother figures it out." Daniel opened his mouth, but nothing came out. "But I am not handing Melissa $3,800 because you already promised it and expected me to be too guilty to say no." For the first time, he had no answer. That should have felt like winning. It did not. It felt like looking around a house I still lived in and realizing I no longer felt safe there. The next day, Daniel told Melissa we were not sending the money. I know because she called him while he was in the garage, and I could hear enough through the door. She called me controlling. She said I was trying to replace her. She said Daniel had changed since marrying me. At one point, he said, she offered to pay the school directly. Melissa got louder. That told me everything. If this had really been about Ashley's school trip, direct payment should have solved it. It did not solve it because the school trip was the part no one was allowed to question. Later that week, Ashley came over quieter than usual. She put her backpack by the couch and barely looked at me. I asked if she wanted food, and she said no, which told me something was wrong because that girl never turned down food after school. I gave her space for a while. Then she came into the kitchen while I was loading the dishwasher. "Did you tell my mom no because of me?" she asked. My heart dropped. I turned around slowly. "What did she tell you?" Ashley shrugged, but her eyes were shiny. "She said things are bad because you don't want Dad helping us anymore." I wanted to scream, but not at Ashley. Never at Ashley. I was angry that Melissa had dragged her into an adult money fight and handed her the guilt like it belonged to her. I dried my hands and said, "Ashley, I did not say no to helping you. I said no to giving your mom a large amount of money without knowing where it was going." She watched me carefully. I said, "Your school trip is paid for. I paid the school this morning. If you need clothes, food, rides, supplies, anything like that, you can ask me or your dad. You are not the problem." She glanced toward the hallway, where Daniel was pretending not to listen. I added, "And if things ever get hard at your mom's place, you can stay here. That offer has nothing to do with the fight." Ashley blinked fast. "So you didn't say I couldn't have the trip?" "No." "And you didn't say Dad couldn't help me?" "No." She nodded, and something in her face changed. Not relief exactly. More like another piece had clicked into place. That night, Daniel came into the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed. "Ashley asked me if you paid the school," he said. I told her the truth. "I know." He rubbed his hands over his face. "She's barely answering Melissa's texts." I did not know what to say. Part of me felt bad. Another part of me was furious that the truth only became a problem after Melissa could no longer control it. Daniel looked exhausted. "I think I messed this up." I stared at him for a while. That was the closest thing to accountability I had heard from him, and it still felt too small. "You didn't mess up one thing," I said. "You trained everyone to believe my money was available if the story was sad enough." He flinched. I almost apologized, then stopped myself. The next few days were strange. Melissa found a cheaper mechanic. Donna helped with part of the rent. The utility company agreed to a payment plan. Somehow, all these options appeared after I stopped being the easiest one. Daniel got quieter, but not in a punishing way. More ashamed than angry. He started going through his own account and writing down what he had sent Melissa. I did not ask him to do it. He just did. One night, he put a notebook on the table. "I didn't realize it was this much," he said. I looked at the total and felt distant, like I was seeing our marriage through glass. He said, "I thought I was doing the right thing." I know. That was the worst part. I did know. Daniel was not some cartoon villain sneaking money to his ex just to hurt me. He was a man who confused guilt with responsibility for so long that he stopped noticing who was paying the price. But knowing why someone hurts you does not make it hurt less. He apologized that night. A real apology, or at least the closest he had come. He admitted he should never have promised money without asking me. He admitted using Ashley's name during arguments was unfair. He said he had been afraid that saying no to Melissa would make him a bad father. I wanted that apology to fix everything. It did not. I kept thinking about the nights I checked grocery prices while he sent money across town. The times I avoided bringing up bills because I did not want to seem petty. The way he let me become the responsible one, then acted shocked when I finally got tired. So I told him we needed new rules. Our joint account would only be for shared bills. Any money sent to Melissa had to come from his personal account after his part of our household was paid. Anything for Ashley could be paid directly to the school, doctor, store, or whatever place needed payment. No cash transfers to Melissa using Ashley as the reason. No promises involving my money before talking to me. Daniel nodded too quickly, like agreement could make the damage smaller. Then I moved half of my savings into a separate account he could not see. I did not hide it. I told him after it was done. He stood in the bedroom doorway and asked, "Are you preparing to leave me?" I folded a shirt slowly because my hands needed something to do. "I'm preparing to never be volunteered again." He looked hurt. This time, I did not rush to comfort him. A week later, Ashley texted me while she was at her mom's. "Thank you for paying the school and not making it weird with me." I read it twice and cried in the bathroom with the door locked. That message did not feel like victory. It felt like proof that a child had been watching adults fail and still found a way to be kind. Melissa has not texted me since. She still complains to Daniel sometimes, but he does not jump as fast. The first time he told her, "Send me the bill and I'll pay the company directly," she hung up on him. Ashley still comes over. She is a little more open now, but careful. I do not ask questions about her mother. I do not make faces when Melissa's name comes up. I refuse to make that girl feel like she has to choose which house is safe to talk in. Daniel and I are not fixed. That is the honest ending, even if it is not neat. We still sleep in the same bed. We still make dinner. We still talk. Some days feel almost normal. Other days, I see his phone light up and my stomach tightens before I know why. Trust is strange like that. It does not always leave loudly. Sometimes it just starts locking doors inside you. I still love him, which makes this harder. If I did not, I could leave and tell myself the story was simple. But loving someone does not mean becoming the quiet solution for every problem they refuse to handle. Maybe people will think I was cruel. Maybe $3,800 was a small price to keep peace. Maybe I should have handed over the money and dealt with the resentment later. But peace that depends on one person staying silent is not peace. It is just a bill waiting to come due. And for once, I refuse to pay it. So am I wrong for refusing to lend my husband money for his ex's emergency after he already promised it without asking me, or was I right to finally make everyone solve their own problems without using my account as the escape plan?